Welcome to the Patriotic Pulpit. In a recent episode, I talked about the so-called threat of Christian nationalism. And I talked about the fact that America was founded as a Christian nation. And yet so many people want to skew that and say, well, that means Christian nationalism, and align it up somehow with Nazi Germany by the term nationalism, and Christian nationalism, and align that with racism, anti-immigration or anti-immigrant feelings, anti-homosexual, anti-Islam, Islamophobia, and they want to line it up that way. So I want to talk about that for just a few moments today. So I'm looking at a paper. I just want to show you where some of the things I'm bouncing off of here. This is a paper that is responding to Christian nationalism, and it's a paper put out by Charles Watson of the Baptist Church. He's a Director of Education, the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty, Amanda Tyler, who's also a Baptist, and then we have the Reverend Michael Curry. Curry himself has retired recently. He's from the Episcopal Church. He's retired, and he has been replaced at this particular point by Sean Rowe. Then not only, but he was assisted also by the so-called Reverend Elizabeth Eaton, the presiding bishop of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. That's the first female presiding bishop, the ELCA. Then Dr. Andrew Whitehead, who is listed as one of the foremost scholars in Christian nationalism, associate professor of sociology in Indiana. And so this is the paper that they've put together, The Threat, or Responding to Christian Nationalism. So let's think about this for just a moment. The first podcast that I had, I talked about the idea that this is a Christian nation. So they missed the point on that one. And the point was simply that this country was founded upon the principles that came out of the Bible. And if it's not the Bible, if it's not God-given principles, then I ask the Dr. Andrew Whiteheads of the world, where do the principles come from upon which to base a society? Where do the principles originate? Do they originate in a government? If they originate in a government, Dr. Whitehead, such as Germany, then how is it that we would have such things as the Nuremberg trials to hold those Germans accountable to a higher standard than what Germany said? The truth is, their paper reads like a Marxist screed coming right out of the United Nations. And this is exactly Dr. Andrew Whitehead's take on so-called Christian nationalism. They miss the point. Here's another example, just talking about the Founding Fathers called this a Christian nation. I thought this was so fascinating. Kevin Kruse, who is a professor of theology at Princeton University, wrote a book several years ago, and I reviewed it pretty carefully. It was called One Nation Under God, I believe. And in it, he's just answering this idea that we are somehow a Christian nation. And I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting. What's he going to say to all those founding fathers, such as the Benjamin Franklins, the Thomas Jeffersons, who himself talked about Christianity being the foundation of it? What's he going to say regarding the John Jays, the Supreme Court, John Adams, John Quincy Adams, all those guys and more also, Roger Sherman, who said this was founded upon Christianity, as I understand it. Patrick Henry said it was founded upon the gospel of Jesus Christ, that is our country. What is Kevin Kruse going to say? Kevin Kruse from Princeton University began with, 1950s, Dwight Eisenhower, Billy Graham, and he said they came up with the idea of this being a Christian nation, and he ran with that. I thought, amazing. They want you to not know anything about the founding of this country. Benjamin Morris was a second-generation founder, and he wrote an entire book telling about the Christian roots of our nation. And so these people don't even know what they're talking about. Andrew Whitehead doesn't know. And not only so, but Reverend Michael Curry, Dr. Elizabeth Eaton, they're going to try to tell us that this is not a Christian nation. Now, I want to say this as kindly as I know how, but nevertheless it needs to be said. The Evangelical Lutheran Church, of which Elizabeth Eaton is a part of, as well as the Episcopal Church, Michael Curry, and today another leader of that, they don't believe the Bible at all. No, they don't believe the Bible. They don't believe the Genesis account of the creation. They don't believe the Genesis account of the origin of marriage, the origin of man. They don't believe that. They don't believe what the New Testament teaches regarding the place of a man and a woman in the churches. 1 Timothy chapter 2, 1 Corinthians chapter 14, 1 Corinthians 11, verses 1 through 3 show us very clearly that man is over the woman and the woman is to be silent in the churches. But yet we have Elizabeth Eaton, who's the head of the Evangelical Lutheran Church. They don't believe what the Bible teaches regarding marriage between a man and a woman. They say, no, it can be between two men. And they're going to affirm homosexual marriage. And on and on and on it goes. These people don't believe the Bible. They don't understand America, and yet they're going to lecture us on what is Christian nationalism. How dare they? So let's pick up the second plank of this. I talked about, number one, they misunderstand what it means to be a Christian nation and what our founding fathers had to say. But number two, they tell us that those who are Christian nationalists, as they want to term us, those of us who believe in a Christian nation, we are somehow racist, we are somehow Islamic phobic, that we're somehow anti-woman, that we are anti-homosexual, and we hate homosexuals, and this is the driving force behind all of us, and that's what's going on here. I think so much baloney, so much idiocy. It's, you know what, I read, when you read the United Nations, which is dominated by Marxists, and for those who don't know, you just need to go do some study, dominated by Marxism. The National Council and the World Council of Churches, they have these pages of what they believe. It reads exactly like they're saying here. And that is, all of us who believe this is a Christian nation somehow are hateful of those people, and we're anti-Islamic, anti-homosexual. Let's just pick up Islam for just a moment. In the Quran, we are taught that every man may have 4 wives. May every woman have 4 men? No. No, she is only worth 1/2 of a man. Her testimony in court is only 1/2 of a man because she tends to forget. That's what Muhammad said. Muhammad said that a man may marry 4 women, but he himself had over 50 wives. Muhammad also sanctioned lying, taqiyya. That's an official doctrine of prevarication by Islam. Muhammad said that paradise is under the shades of the swords, and they furthered Islam with a sword all over the world. When Muhammad died, there was not one person who disagreed with him on the peninsula of Arabia. That is not explained, ladies and gentlemen, by freedom. It is explained by totalitarianism, the fear of the sword. That's what it is. That's the way Muhammad behaved. That's what Muhammad believed. That's what is written right in the Quran. And yet, they want to tell us that somehow it is Christians who believe in the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, turn the other cheek, that these are the people that we need to fear. I tell you what, it takes a lot of nerve to put out the papers that they're putting out on this. Not only do they not believe the Bible, they don't understand the Bible, and they don't want you to read about Islam at all. Islam, the teaching of it. Now, let me back up and say this. Am I saying that every Muslim wants to kill? No, not necessarily. Not at all necessarily. What I've said regarding Islam refers to the teaching of Islam, and I hope that Muslims don't live down to the teaching of Islam. Is it true that many Christians don't live up to the creed of Christ? That's true also. But how is it that somehow Christians who want to forge a nation of Christians are somehow dangerous, and yet they avoid Islam. And they want to say, well, you don't like Muslims. No, that's not the truth at all. We simply recognize what the Quran teaches regarding Islam and regarding everyone who's not a Muslim. That's exactly what's going on in the world. That's what's happening in overseas countries. But yet they write this paper regarding that. So it reminds me, you remember back during when Obama became president, Obama put out through his DHS secretary, that would be Janet Napolitano, and she put out a paper that warned about the dangers of returning veterans and the possibility that those returning veterans would be angry about a black preacher. That was something that she said. That's an article in the New York Times. But her paper said, well, returning veterans might become terrorists because of the situation in America. And she meant, of course, elected a black president, Obama, and she's quoted in the article as saying, well, look at the Timothy McVeighs of the world and blah, blah, blah. Okay. You know what? That angered so many people. And she backed up and said, well, I apologize. I didn't mean to paint everybody with the same brush, and I shouldn't have said that, and blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what this thread of Christian nationalism reads like. It's like they put out this thing about Christians who want a Christian nation, who want people to behave Christian with Christian principles and have a Christian nation, and say, that's a danger, such as Nazi Germany, who was, of course, against the Jews and exterminated Jews. I don't know anybody who is a Christian who wants to exterminate anybody, and yet we want Christian principles undergirding our society. That's a Christian nation. But what they don't like conservatives. They don't like the conservative end of the spectrum. As a matter of fact, in the Evangelical Lutheran Church, they support abortion. They support, this is where Elizabeth Eaton comes from, support abortion. They support no laws regarding immigration. She doesn't want laws regarding immigration. Or if they do have some immigration laws, they want us to break down the barriers. They applauded what Obama was doing and what Joe Biden was doing, letting everybody in the world come in here. They applauded that. They applaud homosexual marriage. They applaud women taking leadership roles in the churches, which what the Bible says. I like for one of them to just answer 1 Timothy chapter 2, 1 Corinthians 14, where we're told a woman is not to speak in the assembly. She's not to address anybody. They don't believe the Bible. That's what's going on here. And apparently neither does Dr. Andrew Whitehead, who also says, well, he's a sociology professor. There's great danger in Christian nationalism. Isn't it amazing that religion, Islam, that spread abroad through the world through centuries? And by the way, here's something else regarding Islam. We didn't have one slave brought to America that did not originate from Muslim slave traders in Africa. Not one. And the Quran teaches slavery. Muhammad had a black slave named Sufwan. And yet, we're going to be told that Christians are the people to be wary of, and to be aware of that somehow we believe in slavery and we believe in killing and we believe in terrorism. I tell you what, it is only because these individuals have been educated at liberal Marxist-oriented schools that they come up with this nonsense about Christian nationalism. And what I'm finding so sad is that many people who are New Testament Christians even buy into it, say, yeah, we need to avoid Christian nationalism. They don't know whereof they speak, no more than these professors do.